Here is Dorothy. She isn't an actual operator in-game yet. My dad works at HG and I convinced him to add my OC to this private server client, and here she is. Obviously, as with any original character, I'm gonna need you guys to sign here, here, and here to make sure you don't steal my OC, and if any of you breach the contract, my team of lawyers will be after you. And yes, I will be taking you to court. Sorry, it's nothing personnel, kid. Of course, my OC is strong and kind, just like me in real life, and considering her kit is designed by the one and only greatest Arknighters alive, ye Arknights, we both know it's gonna be amazing. Alright everyone, get to your seats. I'll be your homeroom teacher, ye Arknights, but you can just call me Mr. Yi. To give you some context on how I made my OC, one of my favorite pastimes is to make improvised explosive devices in my own home and then throw them into the neighbor's backyard as a little gift from me to them. So naturally, I'd make Dorothy the branch based around my favorite hobby, which is why she's a Trap Master specialist. When you deploy a Trap Master, you immediately get 8 traps. These mines are placeable on open ground tiles that don't have enemies already standing on them, meaning that you can't just carpet bomb the enemy by trying to slap mines directly onto them. The enemies have to walk in the path of the traps, but this can be bypassed with the secret hidden technique that I'll reveal later. Instead of activating skills like other operators, switching to different skills on the Trap Master will give their traps different effects. When their skills activate, that's 1 trap right there. Dorothy can hold up to 10 traps, but she's in SP lockout when she's at max traps, meaning you can't secretly charge an 11th trap for her to hold with her skill bar. Dorothy's first talent gives her 8 mines to start with. When she's deployed, 2 mines will automatically spawn in her range, and this won't take away from the starting count. Now, because I'm a challenge run type of guy and I absolutely love RNG, I made the mine spawning randomized, so have fun restarting stages if you're planning on doing Dorothy solos. But you shouldn't, because that would mean you stole her files from my private server and illegally imported her into your game, which means you broke the agreement and you will be receiving a package on April 12th, 2023, 7:30 PM. Her second talent gives her 2% more attack for every mine that explodes, stacking up to 10 times. If you don't get this talent to max stacks when you're using her, which again, you shouldn't because that would mean breaking the contract, but hypothetically, if we became best friends and I gave you the password to my private server and you used Dorothy and didn't get her to max stacks, I would yell at you for using her wrong. Spam more traps, that's her entire purpose. All of Dorothy's skills are multiplicative, so they can scale off this talent. At max stacks, she gets 20% more attack, which not only helps her trap damage, but also her basic attack damage too. The stacks make her autos scale past medium defense pretty well, letting her handle the stragglers that survive her minefield. Dorothy potentials are insane, especially her talent upgrades and extra attack stat. The first talent upgrade makes her spawn with max traps on deployment. This provides a lot of breathing room for Dorothy since she has to be throwing more assets down than an entire Nikkei squad. The extra attack potential scales with that second talent that lets her get attack stacks, and the talent upgrade for that attack stacks talent increases the amount of layers she can get, which means more damage all around. Okay, let's get introductions over with. We'll start with you in the front. The way Trap Masters work is that their skills change what their mines do. All her skills at Mastery 3 have the same 12-second SP cost, basically meaning she'll be able to refresh a trap every 12 seconds. Dorothy's first skill, if she were ever added to the game, makes her mines deal physical damage and reduces the enemy's defense by 35%. Even though this skill has higher damage scaling than the others, you don't really see it used, and there's a couple reasons why. The first one is that she's not in the game yet, so you can't really use her anyways. But if she were added to Arknights, the biggest issue with Dorothy's first skill is that it only hits the target who tripped and fell on the mine. Though the damage scaling is lower, Dorothy's other skills have AoE to them, essentially doubling or tripling the damage on them. The other issue is that defense down isn't much of a benefit to Dorothy herself or other operators. Yes, you can get even more damage out on her autos or do some convoluted XU buff army with Dorothy as a debuffer, but it just generally isn't worth it. The fact that the mines aren't AoE also means that the debuff applied isn't AoE, so in some situations it'll be impossible to target a specific enemy due to mine placements. Dorothy's mines with her second skill deal physical damage in a radius of 1.2 tiles, binding all enemies hit by the AoE for 3.5 seconds. If it hits only one singular guy, then that bozo gets a 6-second bind. If you guys didn't know already, 3.5 seconds of spammable AoE bind is already extremely powerful, so having the ability go up to 6 seconds for a single target is pretty nuts. The only issue is that enemies will gradually make their way to the exit since there isn't really a way to place a mine on an enemy's current position, but oh wait, there is. Levitate lifts up enemies in the air, so they're not actually standing on a tile, letting you place a mine below them. This tech is the most useful for Dorothy's second skill because now you can infinite bind single enemies with Irene S1M1 since Irene needs that 6-second bind to get her skill back again. It's a nice party trick, but practically speaking, it's probably not going to be used like ever because there's a billion conditions that have to be met in order for this setup to be worth it. However, just like with War Crimes, the Dorothy-Irene combo can be justified with, "It's funny though." Alright, between you guys and me, I genuinely tried soloing the stage with this pot 1 level 60 Dorothy I had to borrow because I don't actually own her on CN and I kept screwing up the ending, so the easiest way to deal with this is to just use another operator that lets Dorothy get more mines, aka Telopsis, and I was complaining about this in my Discord server, but Zafang came in and was like, "Ooh, you actually need to do the solo," and I was like, blah blah blah, shut up bro, you're weird, it's a showcase video, who cares? And then he went, "Ooh, I'm gonna find where you live and rearrange all your furniture, ooh." So just for him, I bothered Ringo Juice, one of the best supporter Knights players in Global, to put his max level pot for Dorothy on so I can do the true Dorothy solo on the stage. Thanks, Ringo. Her third skill makes the mines explode in a cross, dealing arts damage to all the enemies caught in it. It'll also apply Sluggish to every enemy hit for 4.5 seconds, Sluggish being the Angelina type slow. If there are other traps in the explosion range, they will explode after a delay. The skill is awesome for a couple reasons. The first is that the cross-shaped range is actually extremely useful in setting up big brain plays. More range means more ways to hit enemies, and it also means more ways to hit other mines for a mine sweep. The crowd control is pretty good, and you can set up a bunch of mines to cause a map-wide cascade. Wait, what's this I hear? Is that the hidden tech alarm going off? And there's a whole 2 of them with this skill. What a steal. First tech coming up is that if you place a trap after the explosion, it will trigger the mine you placed. To be honest, I don't know where this would actually be super useful, maybe in some scenario with tight trap redeployments or something, but it's nice to know. The second tech is a lot more applicable. Basically, you can retreat mines after they explode, but before it triggers other mines. This tip is good for not wasting other trap explosions. S3 is based around setting up dominoes, and one little yoinky sploinky mine at the wrong time can ruin everything, so retreating them doesn't give you agonizing pain over trying to remake the entire setup like Amiya smashing my Lego tower with her Fumo. Both of these tricks require a bit of precision to pull off, aka you have to spam the pause button. Dorothy's third skill allows her to become a solo specialist menace, since the mines with their cross-shaped range can hit enemies over walls or in other lanes. Dorothy in general takes a bit of brainpower to use, which is how I intended to design her, so the filthy casuals will have their souls purified by molding optimal mine placements if they want to use her properly. Anyways, that's it from me. Are you happy now, Zafang? Amiya, you can't just kill her off like that. She's the protagonist. Come on. No, that doesn't make her death more impactful. That just doesn't make any sense.